Anthony Sain, host of Anthony Sain Show. And from what I understand, he is the tribal chief of Memphis Grizzlies Twitter. So
acknowledge me.
tribal chief,
There it is.
we appreciate you for being with us. Let's bring you right into the conversation, man. What is your like? How do you feel about Ja Morant? What do you think his attitude is and his mentality is?
I caught the tail end of what you guys were talking about just then. Ja is a kind of a difficult personality to understand. I don't know if you guys get into the personality type stuff, but you have your introverted personalities and your extroverted personalities, then you have your ambiverted personalities. Ja is clearly an ambivert. He's one of those guys who goes back and forth between wanting to be social and then wanting to be antisocial. Always a strange interview. You never know which version of him you're going to get a lot of times. And I will say that a lot of stuff that he does, like I heard you use the word arrogant. I'm not going to disagree that a lot of stuff he does comes off as arrogant. But to me, I think that's all rooted in insecurity. I don't really think Ja has a strong grasp of who he is as a man, who he is as a player. You can just tell from a lot of things that he does. It's a lot of bravado, but there's clearly something else, behind that or whatever. I don't say that as a derogatory statement, but I just think that's something that's room for improvement. Something definitely has to, mature in. I think that the majority of us here in Memphis are pulling for him, even for selfish reasons, even if it's because we want a team that's, a good basketball team for the next, 6-7 years. If it's only for that, there are a lot of people who are pulling for Ja. But we for the most part believe that he can mature from this. We know he can mature. We're the same city that watched Zach Randolph. You know what I mean? So we've seen and Ja's bag isn't nearly as heinous as Zebo's was coming to Memphis. And the version of Zebo you guys got definitely wasn't the version that we got for sure. So he definitely does have room for improvement. I think that he definitely can, be rehabilitated to not make the type of self-destructive, toxic moves against himself. But we're all still kind of wait and see. But ultimately, hoping for the best.
Look, man, I'm sorry, Casey. If the gist of your point was to send Ja to Sacramento to rehab him like they did with Zebo, like, look, man, look,
no, Zebo was
Holmes.
You guys got
interest you in a Alex Lynn.
You guys got old man domesticated Zebo. We got still young, had some young bull left in them, Zebo. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but when we traded for Zebo, I know local media here was killing it. Like they were like,
right,
oh,
Anthony. That was not too long after he punched Ruben Patterson, right? Him and
yeah.
Quintel Woods.
Zebo was a fool when we got him. You know what I mean? His reputation was nasty. You know what I mean? And Zebo became a model citizen here, like, paying MLG and W bills, making donations to kids, feeding kids, doing food basket giveaways, free haircuts to start the school year, free basketball camps. Zebo really did those things to rehabilitate his career and his image. And those are some of the things Jog is going to have to do as well, man. He, like I said, the version of, if y'all got old man Zebo, y'all got ready to put his jersey up in the Grizzlies FedEx Forum version. Like, I'm about to wrap this whole thing up. That ain't the Zebo we got. You know what I mean? I just use that as an example of, guys can change for sure.
Anthony, you've seen Ja since the moment he stepped into Memphis. What it kind of feels like this year was crazy and like spiraled. Is that really how it was? Like, was it just this year where he started wilding, or has it something that he's kind of been wrestling with since he came to Memphis, came into the league?
I think it stopped being cute this year. Ja has always been wild, you know what I mean? But this time last year, we were calling him Casamigos Morant, like publicly being drunk and acting a fool is cool. Like that's what we were doing last summer with him. And he was Casamigos Morant. And all the things he was and this is what kills me the most, man. I wake up this morning and I see I forgot Kendrick Perkins. He's doing all this stuff about talking bad about the city of Memphis and talking bad about Ja. I'm like, bro, you are the man that coined G12, and the G don't stand for Gatorade. It don't stand for good. You know what I mean? Like you were out here calling him Gangster 12, and now you're acting like he has to get out of Memphis to rehabilitate and all these type of things. But like I said, Ja's been kind of on the edge. He's always been doing wild stuff. And that comes with, he's a guy who's often compared to Allen Iverson because of his appeal he has to kids, appeal he has to the urban community, the street credibility he has, all these type of things. The look how Allen Iverson looked like hip hop in the 90s and early 2000s. Ja Morant looks like hip hop in 2023. But with that, you can't put that type of moniker on a guy and look down on the things that come with that. You know what I mean? But like I said, Ja has been wild, man. He's been wild for sure, especially stories that didn't make the news that you hear about with him. But the stuff that's coming out now, it gives more spiral out of control than just, hey, look at Ja's out there wilding and drunk and talking, out of his, butt or whatever. I don't know what I can say on here, but yeah.
Hey, let him fly, bro.
We on the radio. You can say ass.
But that meant, like, I love the comp there. AI was like but he was like at the time, because when around those early 2000s, he was like a representation kind of like universally of hip hop. I feel like Ja is like a really specific version of hip hop right now. Like, there's different layers as hip hop exists today in 2023. And, not just to play on the record, but he's like the NBA, young boy version.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, it's
he ain't Nas.
Be a different version of hip hop. Like, you can still be hip hop, but don't be that version. Like, hip hop don't even want to be that hip hop version. Like,
right.
What are you doing?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Amigos that's not cool. Like, oh, that's so bad. That's so bad. What did you think when Adam spoke yesterday?
Man, there was a lot of overreaction, I think, to that whole situation. I was on one of the local radio shows here, the Jason and John show on 92.9 ESPN, and we were talking about this exact subject. And I was like, bro, like the last time Adam Silver talked, the whole thing about not putting the news out during the finals, I get that, whatever. That's not the big deal. But there are people going crazy over the whole additional information thing. As if they have found out Ja's robbed a bank, or he's a gang lord, or he shot somebody, or he pinched a baby in Walmart. I mean, there are people like trying to make sense of the whole additional information thing. And I think it's as simple as the last time Adam Silver talked, he said that right now, I see the video, I see what you guys see, but we have to actually check the validity of this video, make sure that it's not an old video. We have to make sure that, I'm looking at grainy footage. We have to make sure this is what I think I saw is what I actually see. And we have to talk to Ja and all those type of things. I think that the part that he said that we've gathered a fair amount of additional information lets you know that he's came to the conclusion that what I saw is what actually happened. We came to a conclusion. We're about to suspend Ja for whatever amount of time. I don't think that it's something outside of what we already know that's on the table. A lot of people acting like, well, yeah, man, they, whatever. Y'all hear a range of different crazy things.
He's Franklin from Snowfall. That's what
exactly. That's what people are trying to act like. And I just think we just have to keep in mind that Ja didn't commit a crime. The video that came out was very irresponsible. He made he was loosely managing a gun. You're talking about a situation where he wasn't in harm, he wasn't defending himself, he wasn't hunting. At least I don't think he was. He's loosely being irresponsible with the uses of a gun, which is a bad image to put out. I totally understand those type of things, but he didn't commit a crime. He was in his driveway at his house in a vehicle that wasn't moving, acting a fool with a friend of his. And some of the things that people are saying, like, the punishments they think he should get are just totally overblown, in my opinion. People are just really wilding out with some of the stuff they're saying. When you really step back and look at what he actually did, as comparison to what people are suggesting his punishment should be, it's been wild for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know a lot of people were talking about 40, 50 games or whatever, and it was kind of tough for me to say 40 or 50 games for essentially a bad look.
Yeah, exactly, man.
I feel like I feel like that could wind up being the bigger issue.
But that should, in my opinion, that should go from 10 to 30, not 10 to 50.
And here's the thing, man. Like, I think that Adam Silver realizes there's no way in the world that I can make Ja Morant's suspension longer than I gave Miles Bridges. Like, there's no planet in which he's going to do that. And I think he's aware of that. I think that the Players Association is aware of that because they all are working together. I think, and I just think this is not happening, bro. You know what I mean? And if you look at people are talking about something, there's going to be something unprecedented is going to happen. It's going to be the word unprecedented is going out a lot.
Oh, it ain't gonna be that.
They
didn't live through Ron Artest. It ain't gonna
right,
be that.
Right. While not people are saying that while not realizing, bro, when you're talking about conduct detrimental to the league type penalties, 8 games was unprecedented. Like you don't see a lot of super long fines for conduct detrimental to the league, or basically the wilding out rule, or man, you bugging rule. Like you don't see a lot of unprecedented, like huge. Like you don't see a lot of lengthy suspensions like that in NBA history, period. Unless you're talking about fighting, drug abuse, pulling the gun out in an arena and threatening the teammate, that type of stuff. Fighting fans in the crowd. That's when you get into those huge 30, 40, 50 game suspensions. And or beating your wife in the situation of Miles Bridges. To try to put Ja in those type of conversations for basically flexing and being an idiot with his friend, that's at his house, man. You know what I mean? Like this, I can't see. Because if you just looked at it under a microscope, hoping not being long-winded with y'all, but if you're just looking at it under a microscope, man, this incident isn't even as bad as the one he did in Colorado. If you really just want to compare the two. In Colorado,
I was going to say that may be the information that Silver found out, is that he was traveling on the team planes with the gun. Because I don't think anybody.
I'm here to say that I don't think that's the case. I'm not going to say it's definitely not the case. Then y'all be asking me how I know that, but I don't think that's the case. But that's what I'm saying. It's not as bad.
We can read between the lines, bro. We can read between the lines. We got you.
Yeah. So it's like if in an incident in Colorado, he's in a public place, clearly intoxicated, surrounded by people, dangling a gun around, dangling this baby gun around people.
He need to get 10 games just for that.
Right. Just for that crackerjack bottom of the box gun he had. As compared to literally sitting in his driveway in a car he's not driving, sitting in the passenger side, sitting still in the car. The gun flashes for literally a millisecond. Like they had to slow down the tape. If I had just watched that video in real time, I would have never known Ja had a gun. And I've seen the video in real time a million times. I've yet to see the gun in the video, but once they slow it down, oh crap, he's got a gun. So this incident isn't nearly as bad as the last time. Plus, it was during the season. He was on a road trip. It was fresh off the major stuff that he had gotten into. When you're talking about, the incident with him in the domestic issue, fighting in the basketball game with the minor. It was fresh off of that type of stuff. That looked a whole lot worse than what he did this time. And a lot of I hate to go here, man. I don't know what type of affiliate you guys work for, but the plantation mentality that a lot of people of color are using describing this situation with Ja is simply disgusting to me. How we're using words like, well, he's a multiple time offender, and they're gonna teach Ja a lesson. And like, man, this is not the plantation, bro. Like, that's not how this works. You know what I mean? We like and there's he lied to Adam Silver. Guess what? Adam Silver's gonna lie to Ja a lot. It's gonna happen a lot of times in Ja Morant's career, man. And Adam Silver came on TV and basically said, because of who Ja Morant is, this is gonna be looked at differently. If this was Earl Boykins, you know what I mean? He basically said, because Ja has this much influence, and because we want to put Ja in a place where he's one of the faces of the league, we're going to punish him because of it. And it's too many people of color, in my opinion, that are co-signing that whole narrative. And I get it. I understand that comes with the job, that comes with being a superstar. But I think anything obsessive would be kind of wild. And I did an interview on my show real quick. And I'll stop being long, I promise you. I did an interview on my show with a young lady here who's a former county commissioner. And she said the only problem she has with any of this suspension talk is if your goal is to actually help Ja, and if your goal is to actually help him be that ambassador for your league and to create this positive image for your league and to help him in the long haul, why aren't there more clearly communicated things happening to obviously rehabilitate him? Why aren't you setting up programs for him? Why aren't you making mandatory a big brother type situation where he's got to spend time with a Zach Randolph or whoever, or give back to the community or spend time in service so we can actually see? She said this so eloquently, man. She was like, if you're telling Ja he's an influence on kids, let him see the kids he's influencing. Won't you see if those type of things work? And I don't mean to set up PR Let's get the rich kids sitting on the front row and give them a pair of jobs, which they've done time and time again. Go get the kids in the 200s and bring them down front and let him see his impact on these inner city kids whose parents are saving money to go buy his shoes. You know what I mean? Like myself. You know what I mean? Do those. If you really care about Ja's long haul, that's the type of implementation needs to happen, not just taking them off the court. Because do we really want to see Ja with more free time? That's the question I have, man.
Yeah, man. There's a lot there. By the way, just because Anthony brought up the shoe, Ja's shoe sold out
in seconds.
It was gone as quick as the Tiana Taylor's was yesterday.
Don't remind me. That Tiana Taylor L I took. I'm not over that yet, bro. Don't remind me.
I want to ask you because you're being great with your time, and I know you got a lot to do. But I do want to ask because this is something that's discussed a lot. Is it Ja, or is it the people around Ja?
I'll say this to you guys, Kenny and Damien. Ja is not being kidnapped. He's not being held hostage. He's a able-bodied millionaire. If things like that can't prevent you from, what I'm basically saying is no outside influence can be blamed for things that Ja's doing. He's not doing any of this stuff against his will. He has to. But here's the thing: we talked about this too, man. Just in the urban community or in the Black community, there are people that may be in your life, man, where when you say that's my brother, there's literally no difference between him and your blood brother other than blood. You know what I mean? So you don't know how far back those guys go. It's kind of hard to just cut off people who have that type of level of loyalty in your life, or you have that perceived level of loyalty that you feel like you owe them something. You owe them your loyalty. But it's hard. It's easier said than done. But Ja ultimately has to make that decision on and to say, hey, man, if you're going to be around me, me and you have to get our stuff together and move different. I don't want to cut you off, but me and you together have to start moving like a millionaire and my liability, which is who you are, because your lifestyle is financed off of me. Like the stuff that you're doing, because that guy, Devontae Pack, he played college basketball too, but he's not a professional basketball player. That guy's lifestyle is because of Ja Morant. And sometimes, man, I'll just say this, like sometimes the people who are around you, they can be jealous of your life, even though you are the person who is their lifeline. You're the person who's making them who they are. Sometimes people want your life, especially talking about two guys who play basketball. We played on the same hoops as kids. We played in the same gyms. You know what I mean? We played, on the same teams, these type of things. And when I see you and your NBA megastar, and I'm just your buddy, those guys don't always mean, those guys won't always have the best intentions for you at all.
Man, that's great stuff, man. You gave us a lot to think about. You were really generous with your time, man. Know how busy you are today.
Man, it's all good.
We appreciate you, man. We got to do this again down the road. Hopefully, just talk hoops next time.
For sure, man. We got to get you guys on my show, Anthony Sain show here in Memphis.
Say less. We got you.
For sure.
It's the tribal chief right there.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge me.
Yes, sir. Yes, indeed. We got you.
Acknowledge me.
Anthony Sain right there, the Anthony Sain show.